UJAM have just released Virtual Guitarist CINEDREAM, a virtual guitar plugin that can take you to other worlds. Epic, cinematic and atmospheric are some of the words that are going to be associated with this plugin, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that, and we'll hear that throughout the course of this video. But one thing that's definitely epic is the introductory price of just $39. And for those of you who already own a Virtual Guitarist product from UJAM, there's a loyalty price of $29. But it's no good having a great price if you don't have a great sound. So let's discover some of the sounds of this plugin via the presets. So whilst all of the presets in this plugin are based upon a guitar sound, some of them disguise their guitar origins a little more than others. So I'm going to work through some of my favorite presets, starting off with the more sort of otherworldly sounds and working towards the more obviously guitar sounding ones, to give you an idea of the wide range of sounds you get from this plugin. So let's start off with this one. It's called At the End, but ironically, I actually used it at the beginning of this video. I'm just going to play one note and it sounds like this. So I love the way this one kind of evolves and moves, and I can definitely see myself using it on some sort of soundtrack type of music. The next one is called, well, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce this, either homage or homage or homage. Let me know in the comments down below exactly how to pronounce this, and it sounds like this. And you can just hear a hint of the guitar in there, can't you? The next one is called Away for Far Too Long. I really like this one. It's sounding like this. This one's pretty obviously guitar based, I guess, but moving even closer to a guitar sound. This one, Enlighten Me, sounds like this. And you can hear that lovely, slightly overdriven sound with that guitar. And then we'll have a listen to this one, even more overdriven. It's sounding like this. And I'm going to finish off with this one, Ice Tomb. Obviously guitar, but very, very processed. And it sounds like this. And as we move more towards these kind of sounds, I feel like you can imagine them being used a lot more in your kind of pop and rock productions as well. And in fact, later on, we're going to hear this sound, Ice Tomb, with some bass and drums. And just to give you a quick preview, it's sounding like this. And you may have noticed, if you were looking at the keyboard at the bottom, that I was achieving a lot of this playing with just one or two notes on my piano keyboard. We're going to talk about the playing method of this instrument a little bit later on. But first of all, I want to show you how you actually build one of these sounds, starting off with a basic guitar sound. So we're going to go back to one of our more sort of ethereal sounding presets, which sounded like this. And we're going to break it down and find out about the guitar sound which is actually underneath it. So I'm just going to switch a few things off here. I will explain what all of these things are that I'm adjusting as we go along, but I want to get it back to the basic guitar sound, which was this. Quite a dry sounding guitar. So how do we then build upon that? Well, we start off with the basic character of the sound using this character control here. So we go from a soft sound all the way through to a pretty hard sound. So on the softest setting, it sounds like this, quite mellow sounding, and then on the hardest setting, it sounds like this. So a little bit more sort of mid-rangey there. Let's put it on neutral. The next control I'm going to look at is this contour control. This basically gives us control over the attack and the sustain. So if we put it actually on its softest setting, we'll have this very soft attack and quite a short sustain. Have a listen. And then all the way to the other extreme on the longer setting, we're really going to hear that pick sound and quite a long sustain. And then after that, on the left hand side here, we've got control over our tuning and this variance control. So what this is all about is the fact that you do have this distance between guitar strings, which creates a kind of a delay when you're strumming. This variance control just gives you control over the prominence of that effect. So the next most prominent way to adapt our sound is with the amp and drive settings. So we've got 7 amps to choose from here, and they get progressively sort of dirtier. So the cleanest one is Glow, and it sounds like this. And I'll go through to say this one, which is called Voltage. Have a listen to this. And our 7th amp is Eclipse, and it sounds like this. But of course, we can take one of those cleaner sounding amps, say Retro here, and we can increase the drive to get some nice overdrive in there. So this is really useful for dialing in a really nice amp tone quite quickly. We've also got the ability to change the EQ prominence of different parts of the frequency ranges using this focus control. There's basically 4 distinct EQ boosts here. If we go all the way here to the left, then we've got a kind of a bass boost, and all the way to the right, we've got a high range boost there. So in its lowest setting, sounds like that, and then the highest setting. So those 3 controls are really useful for dialing in a basic tone. And then finally, we've got the width control. Its name is, as it suggests, it creates more width. It's off when it's all the way over to the left, and I'm going to put it all the way over to the right to get a really wide sound. So it's sounding like this. And already, if we were to combine that with, say, the contour control over here and give this a really soft attack, have a listen. We're already starting to sound sort of otherworldly without using these other controls in the middle. Another place where we can significantly change the sound is with the Stomp Box effects. Now, at the time of making this video, I can see over 70 listed in the manual, and one of them is this Octave Cloud. Now, as I play this, I'm going to adjust this amount control over here as well, so you can hear the difference that that makes. So it sounds like this. So I really feel like that amount control would be a good one to actually automate during your playing. Let's try another effect. I'm going to go for something that's way off the screen here called Delay 1/8. Sounds like this. And I love the amount of feedback you get in that. Very cool indeed. And finally, let's try this out for a bit of sort of modulation, rotary. For another layer of processing, we have Finisher, which again has its own amount control over here. Now we can select from two different categories here, either effects or ambience, or is that ambience? Not quite sure. Let's start off by listening to this one, which is called Pop Delay. And another one from the effects selection, let's go for Electric Colors. I haven't heard this one before, so. And then let's try something from the ambient selection, so I'm going to go for Reverse Delays. So once you've got your basic sound set up, you've got a few different options in terms of the way that you play it. Let's start off by taking a look at the bottom right here. So far, as I've been demoing the Sound Stew, I've been playing whole chords just using a single note on my keyboard, like so. And the reason it's been able to figure out which chords I want is because I set a key signature here. So I've set this to C major stroke A minor. Now it's going to automatically determine which chord is going to fit that key. But if I want to play some very specific chords, perhaps some chords which are not native to that key, I can switch that off like so, and then kind of voice the chords myself. So let's try an A major. A sus4, A sus2, A major, maybe A minor. You get the idea there. So that gives you lots of versatility in terms of the specific chords that you'll be playing. Now let's switch it back to the single finger mode, and I want to show you this feature which I really love, open chords. So before I switch this on, let's have a listen to a regular A minor chord in the key of C major here. Now I'll turn on open chords. You get this different voicing, which is really suitable for the kinds of sounds that we're going to be creating on this instrument. I'll go through a few of these chords again now and have a listen to this voicing. Absolutely beautiful. And you can use this in kind of note mode as well. So I'll switch it here to note, and here I can just play individual notes. Now you can play your chords in a couple of different modes, player mode and instrument mode. So we'll start off with player mode. Now in this case, you normally would select your phrase first. You can see the different phrases down here, and then you would simply play your chord. So I'll select another phrase here. You can hear that's much shorter and repetitive, and here there's like a muted phrase here. And these are all common phrases, but if we go a little over to the right here, we can see style phrases. So these ones depend on the style that you have selected up here. So let's select this one here. Nice little arpeggio there. I tend to find that further down the keyboard here, they're a little more simple. And then the further up we go, the more complex they are. Now when we go over into instrument mode, it's kind of in reverse in my opinion. Here you would kind of select your chord first. I'm going to put this in latch mode, by the way, over here, just to hold that chord. So I'll play the A minor there. You didn't hear any sound, but you will when I start playing keys here on the left hand side. this case, it's just playing individual notes from the chord. Or I could play strums like this one, this downstroke, or an upstroke, and some effects like that kind of sliding effect there. So which mode you choose, well, it depends on your piece of music and how sort of intricate you want it to be. Let's hear these different modes. We heard this version earlier, the player mode version with some backing, and it sounded like this. Okay, so let's listen to a very similar piece of music, but this time I was using instrument mode, yeah? Personally, I feel that if you're after some really big cinematic sounds or some more traditional guitar sounds that are otherworldly, then this is one of the best plugins you can buy, especially at this price point. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm Mike, I hope you're well, and I'll see you in the next video.